We are in the New Human podcast, and we have a very, very special story in the works. A love story, which we haven't had on the show here. And for our listeners out there, I'm gonna go to the movie The Notebook because it's one of the most beautiful, iconic stories ever until I started hanging out with my dear friends, Bill and Ellen, and they started to share some of their stories, and it really got me thinking that they should have their own story and their own movie. So here we are today,
That's us.
everybody.
Yay.
We got a couple movie stars in the
In
making.
the making, and we
Uh
will play ourselves, of course.
Yes.
And with that being said, Bill Pechman, he's been on this show before.
Yes.
And Ellen Noble has been on this show before. And these two lovebirds are here today to share this epic love story we're
Mhm.
calling. And going into that, guys, we talked a little bit off air where we wanted to start it since we both have your stories on here. So, listeners, you can go to their story if you'd like to know more in depth about each other. But today's about the love story.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm going to give Bill and Ellen the reins here. And what was life like before a short version? What was life like before you guys actually met each other? Yeah.
Yeah. I have to share something really quick, and I didn't even tell you this. Yesterday at work, the Notebook came up 2 times from 2 different sources.
Of course it did.
Of course it
Of
did.
course it
I'm
did.
Yes.
not kidding.
Yeah,
Yes.
of
I am
course
not
it
kidding.
did.
I'm like, "Well, that's interesting."
Yeah.
Oh.
So with going into that, Ellen, you had your relationships you had in the past
Yes.
until you finally met this prince.
Yes.
What were the challenges and what was life like, I guess, short version, before meeting Bill? I mean, any obstacles or I want to go into two, you searching for this long love that you thought was always there, but just didn't know
Mhm.
when it was going to come into your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always felt like there was, a love out there for me that would fulfill everything that I was wishing for, or that I was dreaming that love could be.
Mhm.
And I was married the first time at 17, a senior in high school, had, our son on my 18th birthday. Our daughter was born when I was 23. That was a 30-year-long marriage. The challenges in that were, coming from nothing. We were on food stamps for a time, and then moving into wealth, actually, at the end of our marriage, and just it was a disconnect between us in our personalities and our dreams and our wishes and what was important to us. So that was probably the biggest challenge in that marriage, as far as my path to love.
Mhm.
Second marriage, together 14 years, married for 9. Very challenging because he was a narcissist. This was a learning experience for me in many, many ways. So the challenge there was that I didn't understand when he would talk to me, but yet tell me I was the love of his life, and he would talk to me as if I was a throw rug,
Mhm.
or something even lesser than that, and thinking this is not the way that you talk to the woman that you love, and this is not the way that love should feel. So that was probably the biggest challenge there. Um and and figuring out through both of them that I am worthy of this kind of love that Bill and I share.
Mhm. Yeah. So, do you see any similarities in between those two relationships, or
Oh,
was
definitely.
yeah, and was one, it sounds like to me, one was more you're in the thicket of it, you're
Mhm.
really growing, and then maybe number 2 was a little bit more about lessons and,
Mhm. Mhm.
still challenges and stuff, but you were desperate, it sounds like. I mean, I think all of us are desperate to find or to know there is that certain love out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
and I think that was the commonality between the 2 of them, is that both of my former husbands were unavailable to me, each in their own way. And being a healer, what did I wanna do? I wanted to, be like, "Well, what am I doing wrong, and how can I fix that, and how can I, make that better?" But that wasn't the path. That
Mhm.
was a path that got me ready in all of the trials and tribulations in those relationships to welcome in a love that is effortless,
Mhm.
absolutely effortless.
Mhm.
And I couldn't have a man more available than Bill.
Yeah. Mr. William.
Yeah, it's kinda how it was for me too. I mean, I was married for 15 years, and then after that, I had a succession of relationships that was closer and closer, to the final goal, with my first wife, Nancy, we were married for 15 years, and that was that's where the 3 kids came, and then I dated a gal named Amy for a couple years off and on after the divorce, and we were compatible in some areas but not in all the areas, but I was kind of just still kind of searching, but then I realized that my place was more I felt more comfortable in one-on-one kind of relationships, and that's when I started doing my oceans meditation courses and that sort of thing, and then the subsequent relationships after that were more in line with what I, was trying to attain, but there was always something different, maybe there wasn't a spiritual connection or something like that, and yeah, yeah. And then I gave up for a while, and then, and then just totally, cleared the slate and retook the oceans meditation course and yeah.
What is this Oceans meditation course that you're talking about?
Well, you have to kind of be of a mind that you want a soulmate relationship. It can't be, it's not like, oh, I'm just trying to find a girlfriend. It's a 10-week course that is through a site called Oceans Meditation. And each week there's a assignment to do. One might be, clearing old baggage, in week one, and week two might be forgiveness, forgiving all the people that have hurt you in the past, because often it's our pain and it's our suffering that holds us back from finding that relationship, and then there's, you go through this process, and we'll get to this later in the story, but, uh, so at the very end of the course, they, um, they tell you different ways to try to get out there and meet this person. Go to coffee shops because they said you've got to get out there because your soulmate just isn't going to walk up and knock on your front door. That's just not how it works. Well, guess what? That is exactly how it worked for me. You know.
Because it sounds like you guys put in the work. You know what I mean? It's not just
Oh
like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, all of us, I think, long for a soulmate and this unconditional love that we're all seeking for. And yeah, I mean, you said it clearly. You're going through this course with intention to find your
Yes,
soulmate.
yes.
I
Mhm.
mean, it's not just like you're praying, come on, God, give me, the love of my life. Please, please,
Well,
you
it's much
know.
like this. If if your intention is to have a fit body, if you want to, have a body that you're fit and you're proud of, you have to put in the work. You have to go to the gym. You have to eat right. You can't just decide that that's how it's going to be and continue on, and finding your soulmate or anything else is the same way. You've got to put in the work, and you have to be ready for your soulmate. You can't you know if you have things you haven't worked through, other than just are incidental to life,
Mhm.
if you have some, if you're still hurt because of your previous marriage or something like that, um that's going to be a lot more to deal with when you finally meet that person, you know
Mhm.
Mhm.
and so you're doing the personal work. Well, you've got to do that. And that's what that course, certainly helped me with.
And if I might interject for just 1 second, I was talking when I would talk to God or the universe or however, people think of it, I would say, "He'd better be doing his work."
Mhm.
Yeah, it
because I'm
was.
over here working really hard to get ready for him. He'd better be over there working really hard to get ready for me. And he was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he was.
Yeah, you didn't want some noob fresh
No,
off the
I
corner,
did not.
and
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's why
Or a
this
drag along,
yeah,
you know?
that's why this love story is so impeccable. It's just it's you guys went through the levels. I'm thinking of like the video game Mario right now or
Mhm.
whatever. You had to go through certain levels to work on your own things, go through your own challenges so
Yeah.
you guys can fully give each other that heart, you're not messing around anymore. Like this is you've had your trials and errors. Not that I'm sure you haven't had some difficulties, we all do. Maybe you haven't though, because this is the
Not
ultimate love
really.
story.
Not really,
Not really.
Are you
No.
listening to that?
Knocking on wood.
Well, I think a lot of that though is because we came together so late in life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because we figured all that shit out. I mean,
Mhm.
we've fumbled through the previous relationships. We knew, where time was not being invested well. I mean, we've learned so many life lessons, along the way.
Mhm.
And and we know what's important, what isn't important, communication,
Mhm.
you know, we've taken road trips to Mount Shasta and to Sedona, and each one is, several days in the car. Well, this last time to Mount Shasta, we spent 68 hours in the car together, never once turned on the radio, not one time, talked the whole time, you know,
68 hours.
Mhm.
68 hours in the car
Mhm.
together, and we had nothing,
No
uh,
end of
no end of
topics.
conversation. Yeah.
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 Yeah, no awkward silence.
No.
Oh
Well,
my
we
God.
would enjoy the beauty, we
Yeah.
would take time to, you know,
Mhm. So, going into that, hearing both of your quick version stories before you two meeting, let's get into some of the juicy details. The juicy good
The
stuff.
good
the
stuff.
juicy good
Um,
stuff.
we talked a little bit about it. I want our listeners to hear about this. You're going through your meditations, Bill. Ellen, you're doing your work as well. How, when, and where did your paths first, I guess, finally cross?
Well, for me, that's a little bit goes back a little bit further because after my master attunement in 2015, I started to go to Reiki shares all over the place. I went mostly in 2016, 17, and 18, but that's kind of when it started. Anyway, many, many years. And I went to, all kinds of different places. Illuminations is where Ellen was practicing through. And that was, I went to many, many, many Reiki shares there. And I can't tell you how many times I would look up at the board because the shares were usually, late afternoon, early evening. And that's when, people are coming and going. And I would see the names up on the board and I would see Ellen Noble, hypnotherapy session at 2:30, Reiki session, and I thought, yeah, okay. She's one of the rock star, people at Illuminations, and, uh, and so I knew of Ellen before we actually met,
Mhm.
and you can actually then take it from here.
Yeah. So yes, I was a practitioner at Illuminations, starting in 2016, I think. And Molly, who is dear to both of us now, came to me as a client. And I think we did a medical intuition body scan that first time. And then we got to talking about music, and she sings and I sing. And so I encouraged her to come and sing with the group that I was singing in, and she did. So that was the beginning of our friendship as opposed to client practitioner.
Mhm.
And so we developed a friendship, and Molly was a Reiki student of Bill's, which I did not know at this time, but she came back to me to talk about, she has we call it her big girl job at University of Iowa, and she wanted to kind of do Reiki on the side. She wanted to practice like I did, like renting a space and do that. So she came to talk to me about the business side of it, talking about intake forms and, things like that. And she looks at me and she says, you should really book a Reiki session with Bill.
Mm,
His Reiki is really powerful.
mm,
And I'm like, I I haven't received Reiki for a long time. I would maybe do that. Yes, yes, I will do that. And then she looks at me and it's like a click went off in her head. I could see it. And she looks at me, she goes, "Are you seeing anyone?" And I'm like, "No." And then she goes, "Oh, well, Bill just turned on his love light and he is ready for," and I'm like, "Molly, no, no." And I'm like, "No." So I went home after that and I called Bill and we had a lovely conversation on the phone, talk, talk, talk. And then I texted Molly and I said, "I just booked a session with Bill for Reiki, dot, 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 not dating." So on that day, that fateful day, March 30th of 2023, I pulled up in front of Bill's house
And knocked on my
and
door.
I knocked on his door. And he opened it, and I took one look at him, and the first thing that popped into my head was, "I'm in trouble." In all the best ways. Mhm.
What were you feeling, Bill, at that moment when she knocked on the door and the door opened?
Well, again, it was one of those things like I kind of alluded to before, where, well, the teacher at the course said they're not, your soulmate's not going to come and knock on your door, that's not going to happen. You have to get out there and go on dating sites and all that, and I opened up the door and, here's this, beautiful blonde woman, and I'll never forget the day. Beautiful sunny day,
Oh, it was gorgeous.
gorgeous sunny day. The weather was perfect, and it was like a instant recognition. We signed up to do this dance well before we were born,
Mhm.
and I just recognized something, and then we walked in and, we greeted each other and hugged each other and, yeah.
So you both knew right when your eyes met each other
There was
that there's
something.
something going on here.
There was
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And I'm
Yeah.
sure the session was just everything you were looking for.
Oh, and yes, and more because we probably sat in his living room and talked for well over an hour before we even did the
Mhm.
Reiki session, and the Reiki session, of course, was amazing.
Mhm.
And then we came back out into the living room and probably talked for 2 more
Oh,
hours.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and then there's the second session with the wind.
Yes.
That was the cool one where it was like, uh, the wind was just howling outside.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Um, yes, because I came back 2 weeks later and I gave Bill a session, and then I think maybe the next week I came back and he gave me the second session, and this was with the wind,
Yeah.
and it was magical. I mean, it was like and we were talking about this last night, and I said that was when I felt like I was melting into you. It was
Mhm.
melting into him. And it was rattling the windows and we
Yeah.
didn't have any music on or anything like that. And then he played the singing bowl and it just rang and rang and
It
rang.
just hummed
Oh
and
my
hummed and
gosh.
hummed.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was
Yeah.
super
Yeah. With
powerful.
the wind and the bowl and yeah.
That's I'm just like picturing a
Mhm.
tornado or a vortex.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like those
Yeah.
sacred sites we've been to.
Yes.
And you're playing it, the bowl and the wind swirling, and it's like you two souls are just intertwining together.
Well,
Mhm.
and that's how I felt with our first session when I first knelt down at your head,
Yeah.
at your third eye, and it was just like being plugged in to
Mhm.
like a
Like the Avatar thing.
yes,
Yeah, when
yes,
they plug in
yes,
with the
like that. That's
tail, like
Yes.
exactly what it
that.
felt like, and it
Yeah.
was like a flow of something I'd never felt before. I'm like,
Mhm.
man, something's going on here.
So, we had these few sessions together.
Yeah,
At what point do you guys become a thing? When do you I mean, because you felt it in the beginning, your eyes locked, you
yeah.
have the whirlwind going on. At what point are you guys like, "Alright, we're supposed to be together. We
Well,
know
but we
this."
took the time
Yeah, yeah,
We
to
did.
we spent so much time, we how many hours on the couch? We would call it couch time.
Mhm.
And where I'd say the first several months of our relationship, but we were committed before then because I gave you my letters
Yeah,
after
we'll
3
talk about
months.
that in
Yeah.
just a
Mhm.
minute.
But But we spent so much time talking. The TV wouldn't be on, and
Mhm.
just we would talk about everything,
Mhm.
and just
Mhm.
really, really just at a bone marrow level,
Mhm.
getting to know each
Deep.
other.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So the letters, and I think was a defining moment for both of us. From 2004
yeah. Till
through
2018.
2018,
Yeah.
Bill was writing love letters to me, and he didn't know it was me, of course, and he would write them, and then he would stick them in a manila envelope, and he never looked at them again. So on June 30th, we met him on March 30th, so on June 30th, at our 3-month mark, he gave me the letters,
All of them.
All
all
of
of
them.
them, in 2 manila envelopes, and, he explained to me that he had kept them all these years, through the different relationships that he had, that he thought, well, maybe this is it, but never ever was he compelled to give
Well, no, they never
letters.
got yeah, there was no
Mm,
question. I knew that for me, I knew that, uh, that was the end of the line when I gave those letters, because I knew while I was going through my, searching for my soulmate process and learning and growing. I mean, I didn't know Ellen. I didn't know what she looked like. I knew she was out there somewhere,
Yeah.
and so I had no idea, but one thing I can do, there can be no two-way communication with her because I don't know where she's at in the world, but there can be one-way communication. So in 2004, I started writing letters, good evening, sweetie, write the date, and just write about, I can't even remember what
no,
I wrote about,
eh,
but I knew that once, and there's a lot of them, but there's no taking those back, I mean, so the person that I gave those to, I had to know without any doubt whatsoever that this is my person,
mhm.
because I've been, you know, writing them for years and years and years.
And then when I read them, I mean, I was just like speechless when he gave them to me, and so overcome with the rush of emotion, and just so honored and so humbled, and so then when I read them, I'm like, "Oh my god, he was writing to me." Because some of the things that he said, it couldn't have been to anybody but me.
Mhm.
And it was good. I mean, there were good things that he wrote, and then there were times that he was, despairing, and like, "Maybe you're not out there. You know, who are you? I wish I at least knew your name."
Mhm.
And all of the emotion
I
that
got
was
a
in those
I
letters.
got a question for you in those letters. So, when you're reading those letters and then seeing the date on them, could you go back? Cause when we read, we kind of go into our
Yeah.
own movie and we're creating this own picture
Mhm.
or whatever. Were you going back and like thinking at those times when Bill wrote those,
Yes.
like, you know, that was, yeah, I felt that at that moment.
Yep.
And I could feel at that time I was longing for exactly what he was saying. Did you
Yes.
feel that when you were
I
reading
I
them?
most definitely did, and I could go back and say, "Oh, that's when I was doing this, and that's when I was struggling with this in my life, and he was struggling with this parallel in his life." And
Hmm.
yeah, just it was the letters in and of themselves are a journey, and no one else will ever read them.
Mhm.
I told Bill that if I go before him, they're to be cremated with me,
Mhm.
because they're mine.
Mhm.
They're not for anyone else's eyes to ever see,
Gosh.
and there's a lot of them. And at the
Well,
end of
there's a
them
bunch of them.
at the end
There's
of
a
them
bunch of
A
and
bunch of them.
and there was in 2018 when he says, "Oh, honey, I think I'm not gonna write for a while," and I'm like, "5 more years." I mean, I'm talking to the letters.
Yeah.
"So just hold on for 5 more years. I'm coming. I'm out there."
I'm out there.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I have to ask, Bill, because you are a romantic.
I am.
How where did you see this somewhere, or it was this in the meditation class that you were learning about, or how did you come up with this writing letters?
I've always been a really weird person.
We
And
know.
and and I've always been a student of history. Um so I keep a journal that's my personal journal, but one of the things that was sort of therapy for me is that I'm in a dark place right now and I can't talk to Ellen. I don't even know what she looks like or where she is, but I can share my thoughts and my feelings. And then I thought to myself, this is like an interesting, you know, record. And after a couple of these letters, I thought to myself, I'm probably going to be in a position when we do meet and we do get married, that I'm not going to have a lot of money. I'm not going to, be able to afford a big, expensive diamond ring. But one thing I can give that I'm sure no very few other men have done is for 14 or 15 years to have been writing love letters before we meet. And then as a wedding gift, or whatever gift, giving them, and to somebody that is going to be in alignment with me and know me, that is going to be much more valuable to them than a big,
Shiny ring.
big shiny ring. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful, I mean, just the movie. I'm just watching a movie right now, with the letters and again back to the Notebook. I don't think the Notebook. I mean, it was juicy, but not that juicy.
Well, it's so unexpected, and I'm a very I'm a dreamer, and I'm a romantic as well, and to have a man who is thoughtful like that, and he's thoughtful like that all the time.
Mhm.
It wasn't just the years that he was writing the letters. I mean, that carries over into every single moment of our life. Just little things that he does for me, like brings me my coffee upstairs in the morning while I'm still sleeping and sets it on the nightstand. Just yeah,
It's because I love you.
I know. I know.
Oh gosh. So the love letters, we go into those. So you're fresh, your relationship's building and growing. Can you give me any stories from there to before you got married that stick out that were just
Our first Reiki session. I
Yeah,
mean, every,
but can I share the
yes.
okay. First, I wanna share something from the very first day of
Mhm.
us meeting. So we start talking about music, which we are both very into music, and of course, my degree is
Yes.
in
Yes.
voice, and
Yes, I forget.
I'm very into large choral works of music and the big master works, and Bill said, "Oh, I have this song that is, like, so powerful for me, and it's so emotional for me. I want to share it with you." So he, texts me the YouTube, video of it, and I didn't open it until the next day because I had a dinner engagement that night that I'm like, "I have to go." And we were talking, 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 "I have to go." So he sent me that. I thought, "I'm gonna open it tomorrow," but I knew what it was. He didn't tell me, but
Mhm.
I knew what it was. And when I opened it the next morning, it was, the opening movement called "O Fortuna" from Carl Orff's Carmina Burana,
Mhm.
which is one of my absolute favorite works to
We had
sing.
just met. How there's no way I could have
Mhm,
divined that.
mhm. I knew what it was. I knew it. And then the next spring, I sing with Orchestra Iowa, when they do their big Masterworks concerts, and Carmina Burana is what we sang. So, yeah.
And I never imagined that, because that particular song has been a powerful since the age of 17 for me. I love that. Well, to watch my wife, my soulmate, performing in this,
Mhm.
Mhm,
in this piece,
mhm.
sounding exactly the way I've always heard it
Mhm.
was just a
Yeah,
powerful thing.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember hearing that story in the
Mhm.
car with you guys, and I didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And after hearing, I mean, it's in a bunch of
We
movies,
see the
like
Yeah.
commercials.
yeah,
Mhm,
like war movies too,
mhm.
Mhm.
and
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
it's so
It
powerful,
is.
Yeah.
you know?
It is.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
so that was a sidebar. So now to our first Reiki session together.
Yeah.
Well, we are with your Teresa.
Yes,
So
yes.
you
Yeah, so, Teresa Brown is my best friend, and for those of you that listen to Justin's podcasts or watch them, Teresa was also interviewed and had a beautiful podcast. She had a client that she kind of felt like she had taken as far as she could, and so she asked Bill and me if we would come to Old Wine and do a session with this person. And we had never worked together before,
Not once.
and we didn't really even talk about how it was going to go.
No.
We both put our hands on him and started doing Reiki, and voila! I mean, it flowed like we had done it every day of our life.
Mhm.
So that was the birth of our twin flame
Well,
Reiki
and
reader.
it was a situation that was, a little more complicated
It was
than
complicated.
run of the mill Reiki
Client, right?
sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it was.
so it was but yeah, so we and so many other things like that where we just you know,
We know each
we
other.
yeah, it's just we just naturally flow
Mhm,
together.
mhm. Oh, and then silly things like he came over to my house one day
Oh, yeah.
and we were both wearing camouflage shorts and a black t-shirt.
Yeah, and I just stopped over, "Hey," and it's like
I'm like, did you look at what we're
yeah, yeah.
wearing? Just funny little synchronicities like
Oh
that.
god, yeah, yeah.
Oh, we were at my daughter-in-law's mother's funeral service, and
Yeah.
we were in line for the little reception, little luncheon afterwards. And I'm looking up at Bill. He's 6'4", I'm 5'3", and he's in front of me. And I'm looking up at him. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what it would be like to view the world from that height. So I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, hey, do you ever think about what it would be like to like view the world from my 5'3" stature?
Yeah.
And he looks at me and goes, what did you say?
Mm.
And I'm like, well, and he's like, Ellen, I was just thinking about that very thing when
Oh,
we were
yeah.
within the church service.
All the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's there are many God winks, like God winking and saying, do you get it, kids?
Mhm.
All right.
Well,
Just
and one thing that we've both noticed, and we've mentioned this, is that, because we were both walking our spiritual paths before we met, in our own unique way. But then we were obviously meant to do this together as at the same level, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and we're both force multipliers for each other, not just in our spiritual path, in our Reiki path, but in our lives, in our how we live our day-to-day lives. It's been a it's been such an enhancement,
Mhm.
Yes, for both of us.
and it just makes us better with Reiki things, with if we're doing like a house blessing or cleansing,
Mhm.
uh, whatever it might
Yeah, your
be.
force just becomes a lot more
Mhm.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm feeling with you 2 right now is just that it's not Bill, it's not Ellen,
Right.
it's Bill and Ellen together as
Yeah.
this
Mhm.
one source,
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, it's wild.
Yeah. And during those times, there's not audible communication between us,
Yeah.
but and I don't know, I don't even think you would call it telepathy. I think it's just a oneness between us that we just know. We just
Mhm.
know what what to do next and how to do it and to enhance the other, to support them or however that looks.
Mhm.
Well, and we're trying to describe things and concepts that don't translate into any sort of human language. These are all, emotional, spiritual things that
Feelings.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And to try to put that into words is very difficult.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, where you
Yeah.
really I think of I see you, like even back to the Avatar movie when they say instead of like I love you, I see you.
See
And
you.
Yes.
it's really just a feeling that you
Mhm.
two have together that no words needed,
Yeah.
Mhm.
just it's what's being felt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really think that our entire lives, and I can speak for myself, but I think Bill would agree that I felt him.
Mhm.
I felt him. I knew
Yeah.
he was out there somewhere. But then again, the despair would come in and be like, I'm in a bad situation right now, and maybe it's not supposed to be in this lifetime, but it
Mhm.
was. But
Yeah.
it was. But the work had to be done.
Mhm. So what about you two now? Like, so you met a little later in life. You had many years separate together or away from each other. and now you're going back to we talked a little bit off air, you guys going to these sacred sites together, places that you were once a little girl that are now living in with Bill. What's it like since you're so soul connected? Like, do you get glimpses, Bill, that you get to see of her as a little child at certain places because you're so connected?
Oh, absolutely. We talk about this all the time that while our bodies feel old,
Mm.
our spirits feel young.
We both feel like we're about 19 years old,
Yes,
Yeah.
19 or 20.
and we hold hands everywhere,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like we are reliving our youth
Mhm.
through each other by visiting our
Mm-hmm.
hometowns and places that were sacred to us at that time in our lives, and
Mhm.
just all of the memories that we've shared, childhood
Yeah,
stories, and
because it's like going back in time. Only now Ellen is with me,
yeah,
so when we
yes,
go to, the places that I haven't been to, since I was a kid that are very, very special and very sacred to me, I am now going back in time as an adult with my wife.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible experience. And I can tell her how I was feeling, and I can share with her, how important this is with someone that only she would understand. No one else on the planet would understand.
Mm.
Um, and vice versa. When we go to Strawberry Point or any of the other places, you share with me, and we experience it again together. We
Mhm.
get to be young again.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we have talked about the serendipities and the parallels. Bill would drive through Strawberry Point multiple times a year to get to Prairie du Chien to either go hunting or for family reunions and things like that. Every time he drove through Strawberry Point, he was driving past the two houses that I grew up in from the time I was 5 till the time I was 17 and left home.
Mhm.
And we talk about maybe I was standing in the yard one of those
Yeah,
times,
yeah,
or
yeah.
we
Uh-huh.
both went to Iwalu Bible Camp.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
we had both been at Backbone State Park. I had been, meandering around down Iowa City. I started my graduate work down there, but like Polly Ice Pizza and all the
Oh, yeah.
places that Bill frequented because he grew up in Iowa City.
Yeah.
All of the times that we were in each other's energy and didn't know it.
Mhm.
And I think that this is my opinion. I think that God did that for me anyway. Bill can speak for himself, to give me just a glimpse of his energy to keep
Mhm.
going.
Mhm.
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
I
give
think
up.
those are the things that you energetically feel, even in the
Yes.
times of despair,
Yes.
that there's always some glimmer that, okay, I felt something,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
one of the times when I look up at the board at Illuminations, and see Ellen Noble,
Mhm.
and then that would, imprint in my brain.
Mhm. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I
It's
mean,
just it's crazy, and
I mean, how many times was I like hanging out in the store area, and Ellen was just finishing up with a client and leaving
The practitioner
for the
entrance.
practitioner entrance,
Yeah. I
right.
I
mean,
mean, how many times did that happen,
he came in this door and I left
Oh,
out this door. Yeah.
oh,
Mhm.
and then here's another incredible, see, there's so many, we can't remember them all. I got to know the owners of Illuminations very well, and I can't remember what the circumstances were, but she had to leave the store
I
for
wasn't working
something.
that day or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Stephanie had to leave the store. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Stephanie had to leave the store, and but before Stephanie left, somebody came in off the street and said, "Hey, could do you guys do Reiki sessions?" And Stephanie's like, "Well, all our practitioners are gone," and she just turned to me and said, would you, could you step in and do? Absolutely, of course, I'll do a Reiki session, And so I went back, and there's 6 rooms,
6
right?
practitioner
6
rooms.
practitioner rooms.
Stephanie said, "Pick a room."
Just pick a room. Doesn't matter, just a short, 45-minute Reiki session. I'll be damned if I didn't pick
Picked
Ellen's
my
room.
room.
Her room. you know?
And did you feel at that moment that when you were getting ready to do Reiki, could you pick up a presence of Ellen
Well, I
there?
could just pick up a general,
Yeah,
presence of everything. I mean,
yeah,
because that's the, illuminations. It's like a stew of
yeah.
energy,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
but
Mhm.
yeah, but there was something that obviously drew me to her room.
Mhm.
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 Yeah, it just I keep going back to all the synchronicities and you guys, like, I mean, driving up to Prairie du Chien and you
Mhm.
being a girl out there, I'm thinking, you know, we write these stories, I believe, before we come down here. And it's like, when is the right timing besides divine timing? Like if you would have met when you were 30, would you guys have the same relationship you currently have? Would it had sparked 30 years earlier, or would you've had some troubles? Why now meeting when Molly's like to you, hey, you should try and get Reiki from Bill. And by the way, are you dating? Why was that the right specific moment versus Bill going to Illuminations and seeing Ellen Noble up there and being like, there's something about that name. I need to have a session done by her.
Oh.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like all of these different, I mean, 100 different, I feel like paths
Yeah.
that you guys could have jumped on
Mhm.
other than just meeting the way you did. And
Mhm.
I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how that just happened the way it did, unfolded the way it did. And the only thing I keep going to is divine timing,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, you see, and everybody has
Right.
their own,
Opinion. Yeah.
view
Yeah.
on all of this, and so I have mine. Um, I think that it's all God. I think it is. It has. It's. Knowing that for these times in the world that we live in right now, Bill and Ellen need to be together under these particular circumstances. She needs to have the because this was basically you asked us about what our lives were like leading up to this. We were both in training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in training for this moment right here. And in her training regiment, she had, a particular, curriculum that she had to go through. I had a curriculum for my training regiment. But then we came together at the time that we were supposed to by, like you say, divine timing, that, okay, now they can both now be force multipliers for each other and then walk the path that they're divinely meant to, as the divine masculine and the divine feminine working in equal tandem with each other.
Yeah.
And so I'm not sure it was so much like a menu or like a recipe that we had to. I think it was divine. It was,
Mhm.
God knew what we had to
And
experience.
I'm thinking like all the times you could have met. Now
Mhm.
that I'm just really
Yeah.
like when you're talking, it's really like I'm getting the picture unfolding here is that how much more intimate it was when you guys first met versus
Oh,
if Bill would have pursued to get a past life regression done by you
yes.
prior. Like,
Right.
I
Mhm.
keep seeing this name. I gotta go and just get something done by her. Instead, it was
Yes.
you talked on the phone before you guys got to meet each other. So there's this climax, there's this story that's building, and then you go over to Bill's house, and then the door, I can just see it opening. And
And we were dressed as we weren't dressed up for a date. We weren't like, because if we had met on a dating site, I'd have had aftershave and all that stuff.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
we just showed up as we were,
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
just our comfortable selves, and we
yeah,
were authentic,
yeah,
Yes, and that.
we knew that's the big thing, is that, we know from the beginning that we knew from the beginning
Yeah,
that,
I had on leggings and a long sleeve t-shirt and I just, didn't worry about my makeup, didn't
yeah,
worry about, oh my God, what am I going to wear?
yeah,
All the things that if we had met on a dating site that would have been distracting me
yeah,
from what was really happening. So we met in our authenticity
yeah.
and it has remained that way
Mhm.
throughout the time that we've been together and I know it won't ever change.
No.
yeah.
It's the first time in my life that I can feel, well, I've shared this with Bill. I never felt safe in a relationship,
Mhm.
including growing up.
Mm.
My whole life. For the very first time in my life, I feel safe enough to be who I truly am at all times, and it's wonderful.
Mhm.
And that's when he said authentic. I mean, that's a big word for us.
Yeah, it is.
That's a
Mhm.
big word for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, Bill brought that out in you
Mhm.
and vice
Vice
versa.
versa.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like we give each other permission to just be. We're the same kind of weird, but we give ourselves permission to be our quirky, weird selves,
Yeah.
and somebody isn't sitting in the corner going, "Oh yeah, you know."
Mhm.
Mhm. At least I don't think so.
Right. So, when did you guys I mean, you knew obviously you're gonna be together. I mean, this is such a powerful bond you 2 have. But at what point were you guys ready to tie the knot? To
Well,
become
that was at
yeah.
a funeral.
Yeah.
It was
Funerals
Yeah.
must be important for
yeah,
us.
yeah. Because we had gone to a funeral
Yeah,
with
to a
Ellen's friend, a
visitation.
visitation. I'm sorry, a
A
visitation.
friend of mine's dad passed.
And of course, Ellen is introducing me to her friends uh, you know,
Janelle, my friend whose dad died, was introducing us to other members of her family.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and and she would this is my friend Ellen and this is her boyfriend Bill, and then this is my friend Ellen and this is her boyfriend Bill, and then on down the line,
Yeah.
and then afterwards I got in, we sat in the
Well,
car, and I'm like, I don't it doesn't feel right to call you my girlfriend. It's almost insulting. It's almost
yeah.
you know like you're my girlfriend.
Yeah, we're not kids anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, but I mean, even beyond that, well, I think I think I'd given you my
Oh, I had the
letters.
letters.
Yeah, I
Yes. I
mean,
had the
and
letters.
and you see, and that was at the point for me that that was it. There was there's no turning, whether there's a ring on my finger or not, whether we're boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever you want to call it. For me, that was the end of the story.
Mhm.
Yeah, even before I mean, we were still in the funeral home, and Bill says to me, "We need to talk about something that happened in there."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Okay." And so we get in the car and we're driving to Iowa
yeah.
City. We're going to Polly I's Pizza.
You're going to Polly
And
Eyes.
Bill's like, "I don't feel good about that." And then he goes into you're so much more than my girlfriend. And he goes, "What would you think if we had a little ceremony?" And I'm driving, I'm thinking, what is it? Where's this going? What's happening? And so that was the beginning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was
yeah,
the beginning. And then the wedding came together very quickly because
yeah,
it
yeah.
was very intimate. It was
Right. It's
kept
not like once you were 20 or
no.
30 or 40
No,
and you had 100 or 200 people.
No, there
It
were 5 of us.
there were
yeah,
five. It was
very, very
We kept
intimate.
it secret
well, and
even
you
from our
you you
kids.
you know all of the people that were in the
Yeah.
wedding party.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, so we did.
Mhm.
It was an amazing day.
Right.
Well, and we kind of had our honeymoon before we were married,
We
because
did.
Sedona, for
Yeah.
us, the first time that we went to Sedona, which was unbelievable, uh, that was like our honeymoon.
That was that your first time to Sedona?
That was my
Mhm.
first time. Yeah,
Yeah.
she'd been there, what, 25 or 6
Oh,
times, or a
I don't
lot
know.
of times.
Maybe, yeah,
Yeah.
A
I've been
lot of
there many
times.
times, but
Yeah.
Um,
yeah.
well, yeah, that was our first travel test, and we had some interesting adventures,
Yes, we
on
did.
that trip too. But again, that's one of those. Wow, we travel so well together.
Yeah.
I mean, we pack the same way.
Mhm.
He is the only person that I ever let pack my car because nobody could do it. He packs it exactly like I would pack it. So I'm like, "Oh, I don't have to unpack it and pack it again because my OCD comes in." But yeah, we yeah.
Well, and that was another big stepping stone for us. Going to Sedona together.
Yeah.
Of course, Mount Shasta was the big one. That
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
but.
Yeah. Wow. It's just insane.
Mhm.
Well, and
Mhm.
there's so many things with being, with us that are such a benefit, later in life.
Yes.
We don't have kids, and our kids are grown,
Mhm.
uh, if Ellen, if there's no clients on a particular day, she's like, okay, you know what? I'm just blocking the day off and let's figure out something fun to
Let's go to
do.
Galena with
Yeah,
Justin and
exactly.
Yes,
Chelsea.
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
Let's go hang out with Justin and Chelsea,
uh-huh, yeah,
Yeah, and Bill's retired, so neither of us have a 9 to 5. I work for
mhm,
myself, and I can dictate my schedule. And yeah, it that is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
Let's pick a day and let's go to Davenport, or let's pick a day and let's drive around through Strawberry Point, or whatever it is that we want to do. We
mhm,
can make time for it. And this time in our life is probably the most important, the most exciting time in my life, just because I get to share it with him. Um,
Well, and we have an appreciation for time,
mhm.
in the sense that that is the most, valuable currency there is, because we were talking about this, earlier, that, on the hourglass, we have much more sand on the bottom half than we do on the top half. And yeah, and we realize that, and we appreciate that. We don't want to fiddle around with the little distractions of, you know,
Petty things
petty
in life.
things in life.
mhm,
We want to enjoy, we want to do things like this together. We want to take road trips together, because we're best friends.
Yes.
mhm,
Yes, he's my favorite person.
Well, and we work together. I mean, we do, we talked about this so many times. I mean, it's rare, for there to be two Reiki master teachers. Maybe that's not rare, but
What I think
it
is
can't be too common.
what
yeah,
I think is rare about it is that neither I nor you brought each other into Reiki.
Right.
We
yeah,
both came into the relationship as Reiki master teachers and had our own Reiki journeys,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to me coming in and you saying, "Hey, I want to teach you Reiki," or that kind of thing. It was in place.
Yeah.
I
mhm,
would
Yeah.
I would talk to God and say, "Whoever this is for me, he needs to understand what I do, because I do weird things."
mhm,
And then,
Yeah.
well, he doesn't just understand it, he does it.
yeah,
Yeah.
And Bill and I talk about that too, that I never would have asked for that. That would
mhm,
have been too much to ask for.
mhm,
All I wanted was that level of understanding. And look what happened.
mhm. Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny.
Yeah, really it is.
It
Yeah.
truly
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It truly is. And we click on so many politically. Yes, we both have a very deep faiths. It might look a little bit different for each of us,
About
but
96.5% the
yes,
same.
Mhm.
yes, in everything.
Yeah.
He has taught me things. He has opened me up to history. I thought history was stupid and boring in high school, and oh my gosh, he has opened up a whole new world of stories and wonderful things. He took away my fear of guns by teaching me to shoot. I mean, the
Mhm.
the things that he has brought into my life have enriched me so deeply, and it's because we came in for this divine purpose that we
Mhm.
don't even really truly fully understand yet,
Yeah.
but we just go with it.
Right.
That's the other thing. Communication with us is big. Authenticity with us is big. Surrender.
Yes. Yes.
Surrender.
Surrender.
What do you mean by surrender?
Give it to God.
Mhm.
We don't know where this is going to lead us. We know that
Mhm.
there's more for us in store as a couple.
Mhm.
Now that we are together and we multiply each other's force. And it's like, we don't have to know.
Right.
God brought us together. God will take us to the place that we need to go next.
Well, that's kind of what the Reiki principles get
Mhm.
at, is surrender. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not anger.
Yeah.
Um, that's sort of like surrendering. You
Mhm.
Right.
know,
Mhm.
because these lives that we live. I mean, they're just a drop in the bucket.
Mhm.
I
A
mean,
blink.
yeah,
A
yeah.
blink.
Right.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you too. Now that I'm going in my, going through my 35-year-old young family,
Mhm.
and my wife and everything, and for younger versions of yourself. knowing what you 2 know now and the love that you 2 share, if you could go back in time and share this love with your younger versions of yourself and our listeners, including myself, what tips or advice would you have?
The first thing I would say is just be aware of where you're at on your journey.
Mhm,
Right now you're in your mid 30s.
mhm,
You've got young kids,
mhm,
you've got 3D commitments,
mhm,
to worry about.
mhm,
Then you'll be in your 40s, and the kids will start to get older, and then you'll eventually get to this point here,
mhm,
where when you don't have to worry so much about the 3D world and your kids are grown.
mhm,
Um, so what I mean by that is, right now, you know, life is hard for a young man in his mid 30s, and keeping that time economy, thing in the back of your mind. Um, you know, if you focus too much on one thing, you're gonna, it's gonna be you know, a,
Fight,
a fight.
a
Yeah. A fight.
battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just be aware of where you're at, and sometimes, you've got to spend family time instead of,
yeah,
some other
mhm,
things.
playtime,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
because not then as you get older, then you can, but you've got to maintain that connection with your partner, though.
for
That's the important
sure,
thing.
Yeah, yeah, yes,
yeah,
yes. And a lot of my younger years, I felt like I was swimming upstream,
mhm,
and that was of my own doing because I was dissatisfied with a lot of things. But there's when you are in that, I think there's a gal. Her name is Dr. Laura Schlesinger, and she's a psychiatrist. And I used to listen to her show when I was making the long drives between Nashville and Iowa or Oklahoma. And she had a talk show,
mhm,
and some of the things that she would say is, women, never stop flirting with your husband. Men, never stop dating your wife. And I thought, that's really smart because as we get mixed up in the kids and, all of the
mhm,
things and the jobs and things like that, we forget why we love each other.
mhm,
And remembering that and having a date night or having a just time together.
mhm,
Even it's after the kids go to sleep, watch a little bit of TV together. You might both fall asleep on the couch, but just
mhm,
that together time. The other thing that I read somewhere is the first 15 minutes of your day home from work, or Chelsea coming home, or whatever that
mhm,
is, devote it completely to each other. 15 minutes. How was your day? Oh, how was your day? And that reconnects you so that, then the evening can unfold as it will. And it might turn into a disaster because with kids, that happens.
mhm,
But it's also, don't lose yourself
mhm,
in a relationship. I changed myself so that I could fit into certain circumstances in my two previous relationships. Um, don't lose yourself.
right,
Don't lose yourself. Spend time with yourself.
Well, and I would add to that, just doing your, you know, you know, when you meet your soulmate,
mhm,
you want to both kind of be on the same level, and that takes work.
Mhm.
um had I been broken and not
mhm,
done the work, I may have been healed enough to fumble my way, into a relationship, but I've still got all this pain and suffering that I still haven't worked
Mhm.
through from the past.
mhm,
um and it's only at that point when you're healed, when you can be to that point in your life, when my life is good no matter what.
Yeah,
If even if I'm spending the rest of my life by myself and I'm living in my comfortable little house, life is still good and it's still a gift from God.
Mhm.
It's at that point that you don't need healing anymore. You're happy, you've got a good,
mhm,
relationship with, however you view the divine. Then that's the best time to meet that person, because there's no
Friction.
friction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about,
Doing the work.
yeah, yeah. And you can do your work in a
Oh,
relationship. I mean,
yeah.
you don't have to. I did a lot of work in my two relationships, and then I had the 3 years that I was alone, that I had extra work that I needed to do that had Bill been in my life, I would have been very distracted.
Mhm.
So this is the divine timing thing where at times that you are alone or you feel alone. I felt very alone in both of my relationships. So you can be with somebody and
Mhm.
still feel very alone.
Mhm.
But being okay being alone and doing your work within a not maybe ideal relationship, or maybe it's not ideal because you haven't done your work.
Right.
You know, do your work.
Yeah.
Nobody did it for me. Nobody did it for Bill.
Right.
Nobody does it for you.
Yeah.
Um, but do that.
To find that real love. I mean, I think about even our relationship, me and Chelsea's,
Mm.
you know, going back to we were
Mhm.
kids when we met, and then had children when we were kids, and looking back now on our versions of ourself, our stories are a little different, but it's like we're doing the work and we're growing and
Mhm.
challenge ourselves
Yes.
while we're in the mix of it. And that's why I wanted to hear your guys' answers because
Yeah.
your love is something that I feel is very, very rare. So rare. And any tips or advice, including our listeners, you'd have, and that has helped me. And I keep going back to thinking and playing in my mind right now is the hourglass, and just being in that present moment and surrendering. I mean, those are some key words you guys have kept repeating.
Another good
Yeah.
example that I like to think of with surrendering is if you think of whether, love is love is not a destination. It's
Yeah.
not I'm not out seeking love. Love is a garden that needs to be tended to daily. And the surrender and the patience is like planting the seed, and you've tilled the ground and you've fertilized it, and then the seed starts to break the surface and you water it and tend to the soil and give it a little more fertilizer, and then the stem starts to grow and is taking its time. And if you start pulling on the stem to make it grow faster, you're
Yeah.
going to end up pulling the root system out. You have to let it grow and develop. But if you do that with patience and just surrender to the process, you end up with this beautiful tree or plant or whatever. But
Oh.
if at any time you start pulling on the stem to try to get it to grow faster, uh,
You're gonna break it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, what a beautiful analogy.
Isn't
you
that
know,
love is you need to tend to it every day, to it.
whether it's you know uh you know doing my laundry when I wasn't expecting it,
Mhm.
or
Well,
uh,
and like today on our way here, we stopped in town and filled up the car with gas. And I got it started. Bill went in, and then I went in, and when I came out, he had finished that for me. He had,
Mhm.
finished the pumping and put it back, and just little things like that that
you
are
Yeah.
forget
just
about the Gordettos.
thoughtful. Well, he bought Gordettos. Our
And I
favorite.
brought some snackies.
Italian cheese Gordettos. Mm,
Our favorite.
yes, very delicious. So,
Oh.
just little things like that, that little things that can like buoy the spirit of your partner. But also don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't give up.
that's
If this could happen to us,
oh yes, yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But again, the key is doing the
doing
work,
the work.
I mean, in your own way. For me, it was the Oceans meditation course,
Mhm.
and for other people, it's other things, but you have to do the work,
Well, and Bill talks too about the extinction
event.
events in
Yeah.
our lives, and I call it the cosmic kick in the ass. His is a little bit more poetic. Um,
He is a poet.
he is a poet. And those, I mean, I went through two very, very, very big ones in my life. Bill has been through a couple very, very, very big ones in his life, and we had to navigate those alone.
Yeah.
I mean, literally,
Literally alone.
physically alone. And how we both had to get through that in order to come to it's like a purification process. If you think it's like, God putting you through the fire or
Mhm.
And we had both done that so that when we
yes.
came together, I mean,
Fully cleansed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, ready.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of growing up to do before
yeah,
I got to this
oh,
point.
Right.
me too.
A lot of like self-examination. I mean, there are times that I'm like, "Oh, Ellen, that really was not really great." You know,
Yeah.
things like that, or man, you put way too much energy into that bullshit, or whatever it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
That now it's like, we really truly don't sweat the small stuff. Yes, we get caught up in the 3D world because we live in the 3D world.
Yeah.
We work in the 3D world,
Mhm.
but we talk through it again with the
Mhm.
communication, and then we surrender it and say, you know what? It's all going to be okay.
Mhm.
Well, and you have to want to communicate. Sometimes
Hmm.
people, they are speaking with their spouses and they, gosh, I can't wait for this conversation to be over. We seek each other out.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we will have just spent the entire day together. Like on the nights when I stay at the keep at my place, we get up in the morning and have our coffee and then we go throughout our day. And then that night, we're on the phone for a couple of hours talking
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we seek that connection out with each
Mhm.
other.
Yeah, and some people aren't good communicators.
Yeah,
And if you are a good communicator, I really feel like it's important to find somebody who appreciates that, because I was married to two men who did not.
Mhm.
Each in their own way, very, very different, were not communicators.
Mhm.
That was so frustrating to me. So, finding somebody who is more of an equal match to your energy and we share the same love language. Physical
Mhm.
touch, words of affirmation. Those are both of our
Mhm.
top twos,
For sure.
and interchangeable as to which one is more important. Um, you have to get to know somebody, just get to know them. And if there's red flags, walk away.
oh yeah,
Walk away.
trust your gut instincts,
Don't
totally.
try to fit your square peg in somebody else's round hole, because it
No,
doesn't work.
yeah, you
Right.
have to. I always say, and this is from 24 years as a street cop. There's only two things in the world that will never, never, never lie, and well, your gut instinct never lies. And
Mhm.
Right.
always trust it. And if there's red flags, yeah, you have to trust that because so many times people don't listen. Trust me,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, to
No, but
develop the ultimate
yeah. So
love
what's the other
story.
second thing that never lies?
Yoga
Finish it.
pants.
Yeah.
They don't lie either.
Oh,
Sorry, you had to finish.
yeah. No, we need some comedy in here. This can't be
Yeah.
all about
Oh my
love.
gosh. Well, and that's the other thing. We laugh all the
Oh my
time.
God.
Yeah.
Sometimes we laugh so hard my stomach hurts. We'll be
Yeah.
sitting in that chair and
Got an ab workout in
Okay,
from
yes,
totally.
listening,
yes, yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
And we have the same stupid sense of humor too, that other people be like, I don't think that's funny. And we
Yeah.
are dying laughing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful story. I mean, really, like, I'm trying to like put a wrap on this of like what there's so much learning involved in this show right now, just of the love, the surrendering, the hourglass. I go back to just doing the work. Really, I don't think you guys really would have met if you both weren't in the right exact space,
Totally.
psycholo
Absolutely.
in your head and love and going through the challenges that you did. And I tell this to many people myself. I can't give you my best version if I don't have my best version. And I'm still working at it every day. It's a
It's a
hard,
process.
it is, it's a hard battle. But I think once you can finally realize and give yourself fully to somebody like that, that's pretty magical and beautiful,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? So.
It sure is.
Yeah. What are you guys gonna be doing? In the future, do you have any plans, any big milestones you wanna share?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
going to put together a website, which I have never had a website for my business before. So now that we are combined in what we do, we're going to put together a website which that's exciting and scary.
Yeah.
We just moved our office, in August, I think
Yeah,
it was.
August, yeah.
So we're in a newer space or a different space and acclimating to that, and it's really lovely.
Mhm.
We are eventually Bill is going to pay off his house in like a year and a half,
Mhm.
and then we have plans to sell the house, and then we'll take the equity from that and we'll buy land. We have plans, but we're going to let the future unfold as
Yeah.
we know that it will,
Yeah.
because we've
Yeah.
come this far and it's all fallen into place. So,
Yeah.
You can't beat a river into submission. You can
Right.
only surrender to its current and go with the flow, and so we're
Mhm.
just going with the flow, wherever the river takes us,
yep,
Yeah, it's the
yep,
journey.
yep,
I do like, though, I mean, you 2 working together,
yeah,
to get to experience. I know for our listeners out there, you're not sitting in this chair that I am, but I can feel you
yeah.
2
Yeah.
and just the oneness that you 2 share and working together, that would be a very special treatment, one that I hope to, participate in.
Mhm.
I have a feeling that you might.
Yes.
Yeah, it is truly remarkable because, this was the first time for me,
Oh,
because,
yeah.
Yeah.
my master attunement was in 2015, but then I was a practitioner for a couple of years before that. This is the first time I've had, a partner where I can,
Yeah.
Me
To
too.
share that
Mhm.
experience.
Me too. Yeah, and we both feel strongly that there's a podcast in our future.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's very exciting
it is.
and fun.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. Just have fun.
Mhm.
Have fun. We make life way too serious and make it
Yeah.
way too complicated. Way too complicated. Stop overthinking things. Let it be in the flow. Let it unfold.
Right.
Um,
Have
and have
fun.
fun.
Enjoy the moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're gonna
definitely.
get your website done.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What about for our listeners? Where can they find you guys at?
I
If they
can,
wanna talk to you about something, I
yeah,
mean,
I do spiritual guidance.
okay, because
Bill does as well,
that's what
which
I was wondering, like, and have you guys did it together?
no, well, yes, yes, we
Yeah.
have. Like at the beginning of Reiki sessions or after the
Yeah.
Yeah,
session when
Yeah.
we sit
yeah.
down with clients.
If some of our listeners hear this and
Hmm.
like, man, I want what they have,
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
like, and maybe go into a little bit more detail personally,
Hmm.
with them.
Hmm.
If one wanted to seek that out, where do we get a hold of you?
I am on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I am on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. So any of those three right now, until we get the website up, those are the
Yeah.
best bets. And then I can put you in touch, anybody in touch with Bill, of
Bill.
course,
Right.
because
And
we're,
same here, guys. I can
yes.
do the same
Well, I
thing.
know. And that was the other thing I was
Yeah.
going to say.
Yeah.
If
Go, yeah,
somebody can't
contact
Yeah.
Justin.
Contact
contact
me and I'll
Justin.
refer you to them and get you pointed in the right
Yeah.
direction. But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you 2, if you're not doing that, should be doing that as well.
Mm.
I mean, and not to mention you did go to college, right, for a little bit of
Yes.
psychology.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, you 2 are perfect for each other. I'm so glad we got to do this today. Really, I mean, it's an honor and I know how many people out there they're just gonna love this story. So
I hope my prayer for this is that it gives people hope
yes.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some direction, or there's so much more to our story. I mean, you can't put it into an hour and a half,
No.
but if people do want to dig deeper into it and find out some more of our fun things,
Mhm.
we are happy to share.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's part of why it happened to us.
Well, it's all about, walking the path, whenever we go out in public
Yeah.
together, it's inevitable that somebody comes up and makes contact with us,
Yeah.
they wanna talk with us for some,
Just no
no
reason.
reason. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, and I think it's that oneness of you 2, like, literally doing this dance together and that's what I see with you, is it's like, I what do they got going on over there, you know? It makes one think. So, yeah.
It's an energetic
Mhm.
exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Do you guys have any final words or anything you'd like to say?
Um, really enjoyed this.
I know.
Looking forward
It
to
was
doing it
fun.
again.
We will. This
Yeah.
was the first threesome we got to do here on this show. So,
We are honored.
yes. Well, thank you guys for this. I do
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning into today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. And remember, hit the like and subscribe button. And if you have any questions or anything, don't hesitate, reach out to us.